What's up, everybody? It is Izzy back again with another Q&A. So, if you guys like the Q&A, you know what to do. Hit the like button, leave a comment for the algorithm, tell me I'm an idiot or whatever you want, but say something down there. Let's go. Do you have a visual reference guide for how you personally estimate body fat? I don't personally estimate body fat. So, you just look in the mirror. If you don't like how you look, you're too fat. If you're not stage ready, you're too fat. It's very simple. So I don't mean to be a complete bag of dog poo, but it's just it's not a piece of information that you need that would really affect your nutritional periodization, right? So as you go through multiple contest preps, if you're a physique athlete, you get a feel by looking at the pictures of when you went down and now as you're going back up, how many pounds you are away from contest condition. If you're a power lifter, it's going to be more about performance and how close you are to the weight class. So you just don't need to know a precise number. It doesn't help you. Does having a higher amount of muscle mass make you look less fat at a given body fat percentage? Absolutely, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that is true. Personally, I still have a six-pack at 25% body fat nowadays, and that's just 100% an artifact of how much lean body mass that I have. There are pictures of Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler in full off-season mode, or Dorian Yates. And if you look at their face, they look moon-faced out, they have chipmunk face, but they're still muscular, vascular, and ripped pretty much everywhere. It's just far away from contest condition. Does having the ankle pad nearer to the knee make leg curls easier? In my experience, yes, it does. I couldn't necessarily give you the full-on physics explanation of why. As a person who asked this question pointed out in a DM, yes, even though it shortens the moment arm at the knee, it creates a worse moment arm at the machine, so you don't really know how those two things interplay. But what I can tell you is that when you actually try it, it does feel easier when the pad is closer to your knee. What's the difference between these two progression schemes? In scheme 1, you get to, say, a 5-rep max and keep slowly adding weight, increasing your 5-rep max over time. In progression scheme 2, you take a 5-rep max, add slow, tiny bits of weight to it, and then once you've added enough weight to get 6 with the original weight, you drop back down to the original weight and do that. There's really not very many differences between progression schemes in general. In this particular example, the average weight will be lower with the first method, which could be beneficial depending on what your reasoning is. Would your style of training be a good way to do accessories for powerlifting? It means low volume to failure. No. And the reason for that is because it's going to decrease the frequency. For example, let's say you do chest flies to failure and now your chest gets really sore, or even if it doesn't get sore, it has a longer recovery timeline. So now you're not going to be able to bench as often productively. And because again, in powerlifting, it's not just about adding muscle, although that's still the most important thing. You can also get better from frequency, from volume, because you can improve your technique and you can improve neural efficiency, meaning that you can lift more weight without adding a single ounce of muscle. So keep that in mind. Maybe dumbbell lying tricep extensions would bother your elbow less than the easy bar. And have you considered underhand pull downs? Let's start with the easy one. I cannot do underhand pull downs. I don't have enough supination ability anymore. So it has to be some form of semi-supination or a neutral grip. That's the best I can do at my current size. As far as dumbbell lying tricep extensions, unfortunately, those also hurt my elbow. I don't really know why. You'd think with good alignment that they wouldn't, but they do. Have you ever wanted to squat or deadlift in a suit? No. Personally, I hate gear. It just makes your workout take really long. And a lot of the time you also need spotters and need people to help you. So it's just not my thing. I'd rather be able to do it alone and take less time. NBA MVP and NBA Finals predictions. Well, it's way too early for that, but I mean, because we still have some major dominoes that haven't fallen. Where's Damian Lillard going to be? Are the Heat going to get him? If so, what are they going to give up for him? So here's what I will say. The Nuggets got slightly worse. They lost Bruce Brown. The Lakers got way better from top to bottom. Now, that went from a roster with 7 guys that could play to probably being the best roster depth-wise, 1 through 10, 1 through 11 in the entire league. So they went from having 0 chance against the Nuggets to maybe being able to pull an upset if LeBron and AD are healthy. I'll say Lakers Celtics. All right, so rather than answer any more questions at this video, I'd figure I would address my lower body programming. For the last 2 rotations, it hasn't really been working for my squat and deadlift despite ramping up doses as I've just started a course of PEDs. Food is high, sleep is where it usually is. So it does come down to programming in this case. Now, I think like 10 to 20% of it is the fact that I am doing squats and deadlifts at the end of a full body workout as like the 8th exercise in very often. But that really doesn't tell the whole story, because what I saw happen today, not just on squats, but on good mornings that followed as well, I have an axial and CNS fatigue issue. In the past, I've had my best results doing a heavy lower body day every 5th day, which meant that I was doing a deadlift variation every 10 days and a squat variation every 10 days as well. However, those were easier to recover from because I was doing hack squats and RDLs, and now I'm doing safety bar squats and conventional deadlifts, which have a little bit of a higher fatigue burden. Now, obviously, I could just change my split and go back to something like a push-pull legs setup, but I'm not going to do that. And the main reason why is because it isn't optimal for my shoulders and arms, which are my weakest body parts respectively, and both of which are doing really, really well on every other day frequency. So I don't want to decrease that and basically decrease the rate at which they are improving. However, there are a couple of things that I could do instead. So one of the things that I've been doing is I've been pairing safety bar squats with safety bar good mornings, and I have been pairing conventional deadlifts with safety bar front squats basically. And I could replace the safety bar front squats and the safety bar good mornings with more leg extensions and leg curls, or something, again, something with almost zero axial fatigue that's much easier to recover from, and just see if by decreasing the workload, I can get this every 4th day for heavy lower body lifts to work. The other thing that I'm kicking around is doing something like a heavy medium light or heavy light, so that I would only be doing squats and deadlifts every 3rd session and instead of every 2nd session, which would mean I would be doing a heavy squat every 12 days and a heavy deadlift every 12 days, which I'm more okay with because those are strong points anyway. Hopefully that gives you some insight and a good example of how I think about programming and making programming changes. Personally, whenever I have a good run of progress going and 1 thing stalls or 2 things stall, I like to make the least disruptive change possible rather than going to a completely new split or completely new exercises where I have to get all momentum built up again. I like to make the smallest, least disruptive change possible first and see if that works, so that I can just go right back to smooth sailing and keep the momentum that I have on everything else. So with that said, let's do the ads, friends. If you guys enjoy the Q&A, please remember to like the Q&A when it comes out on YouTube. Leave a comment for the algorithm. If you'd like to become a more substantial supporter of the Q&A, you can become a Patreon for $1 a month. If you would like to work with me directly for coaching, shoot me a DM on Instagram for fastest reply. And if you'd like to check out my ebooks, there is a link in my bio on Instagram and a link in the description box on YouTube. So I will be back in another 48 hours with another full body session, probably light legs.